What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast, an impromptu podcast for us, really at our normal start time, though. But happy everybody could join us on. I don't even have the words to describe what we just witnessed today with the Arizona Cardinals and the Raiders. One of the more crazy games that I've seen, been a part of, was able to enjoy, wasn't on the other end of it. It was something that we needed, man. I don't know about y'all. I needed that win after what happened to the Suns, after what happened to the Cardinals meltdown last year, after Arizona State last night, which I need to get into with Herman Edwards, as in loss. That was something I needed. I was getting ready to prep an article that was all about the doom and gloom of Arizona sports, and here we are. One of the more miraculous finishes to me in my mind. I enjoyed the hell out of it. We're gonna be joined by SD Experience. He's a Raiders podcaster. We're gonna get that side of things tonight as well too. Looking forward to talking to him. But we're gonna chop it up the first few minutes. Stay tuned.
Urkavici sets, looks up, and it is caught! Down strong! Blitz coming, Matthews, Palmer extending the play, crosses the field, Larry Fitzgerald.
If he scores, it's over.
It's insane to the 4-yard line.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh!
He puts it down! He puts it down!
They're getting a little wobbly.
The downfield shot out a full base. They won't get him. Center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
You're muted. Evan, you're muted.
I always do that. I always try to share it out and everything, and this is always happening. One of the wildest, weirdest game we ever witnessed, we get to talk about today, and we're not on the receiving end of it. I mean, first and foremost, that's awesome. Amit, Jay, what did y'all think?
Go for
You
it,
know,
man.
I mean, the same thing. I'm still in shock about what happened. I'm still trying to historically place this game against like other Cardinals games, like the most craziest games. Like the only thing in this era with Cliff and Kyler is like the Hail Mary, but that wasn't like this. Like there was like 5 or 6 plays that were just more than 5 or 6. There was just so many plays, so many like penalty calls that changed the game. And I know we're gonna get into it, but this might be the craziest Cardinals game I've ever seen. I don't know. It might be.
That Bills game, I talked about it with Joe on the Cardinal Rule. That game was back and forth too, like because
Yeah.
we went up with like 2.5 minutes left, and then they went up with like 40 seconds left, and then we came back and did all that. AZ Sports
It was a
guy,
Big 12
Alonzo,
game.
Westville. It was a Big
What's up,
12
guys?
game, and Joe is in the house as well too. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, a Big 12 game. But this wasn't like that. This was come from behind, and I think somebody on the broadcast said that this was the biggest Raiders meltdown too in Raider history, being down
Yeah.
being up 20-0. I need to confirm that, which we will with SC when he gets in here as well. Jay, what did you think, dude?
So after the
This is
first
cool.
2 quarters, I was absolutely over this team. I'm like, this is gonna be a long season, and I just don't know how I'm gonna make it through 16 weeks of this. So I turned the game off. I chugged like a beer or whatever. I went to my mom's, hung out, had dinner, and I threw the game on. And it was right when the third quarter was picking up for the Cardinals. It was when the Raiders got to 20 zip, and all of a sudden Kyler just flipped the switch, and the defense was looking good. We were playing tight, and Kyler was just pushing the pace and moving the ball forward. And I'm like, we're not going to catch up. One touchdown after another, one risky throw after another, and it was just like coming into full fruition. And that ending play, I just saw Carlos Dansby again.
Yeah.
With Byron Murphy grabbing that fumble, and he was just off to the races. And it could have ended more. One of the craziest games I've seen. just a Cardinals game in general. Like games that come up to mind is the 2015. Carson Palmer sling Larry Fitzgerald on the side, and then before then the Carlos Dansby fumble. So like this is up there for sure in like game time victories. This game is just absolutely wild. There's so much to get into. Yeah, this play right here.
And how about Isaiah Simmons coming up with the big hit that knocked it loose, huh?
Yeah.
Like of all the things.
Adrian Wilson right there.
Yep, Adrian Wilson goes crazy. I loved watching all of these right here where the whole team was just going nuts. Like, look at that.
And even with all that, Byron Murphy almost dropped the ball before he scored.
Dude.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like,
dude.
Like this game
I had a heart attack.
Every element of like, if you were making like a TV show and you were going to be like, let's try to find like all the craziest things you could do in something, like they tried to do that in this game. Like, let's go for it on 4th and 1 and not get it and still win a game. Like, let's go first and goal and go all the way to 4th and goal. Let's have Kyler run around for 18. Like, the whole thing was just insane.
And then
y'all saw Adrian. Hold on, y'all saw Adrian Wilson right here, right there
in the suit,
right there
in the suit. Look at him.
Now watch him. Watch in the background. Watch him in the background. He's gonna come. He runs all the way. Wait for it. Right there. He runs right into the tunnel.
He doesn't even go.
But the play before this, David Collins caused a fumble. Like he broke coverage and stuff, and he missed steps, and then he came from behind and he knocked the ball loose. But the Braves recovered that. Dude, go.
No, I was gonna say I don't know how many plays before that, but who dropped the interception? We had a pick.
Jalen Thompson.
A couple plays before. Jalen Thompson dropped a pick. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just crazy.
Then Marquise Brown caught that beautiful dime from Kyler, and then that corner, I forget who it was, but he made a great play on that. Just crown to the hands, made him drop it. But like there were so many heart dropping moments, and just in the fourth quarter alone, it was unbelievable.
Barehanded, he just went and grabbed it and snagged
that was beautiful.
That.
Man, and Westville's like, yeah, he almost pulled a Deshaun Jackson.
And you know that play where Hollywood Brown it got punched out or he dropped it. DeAndre Hopkins makes that catch like 99 out of 100 times.
It's a great point.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely, he does.
And we brought we brought Hollywood Brown here to be the number 2 because he's not a number 1, he's a number 2 receiver, right? He should be playing the role that AJ Green's playing right now. So once hopefully we get D-Hop back, it's going to change everything. But I mean, I'm just pointing that out because if people are saying Hollywood Brown should have caught that, I'm like, that's for the 1% of wide receivers to make that catch.
One, he did, and 2, it was a great play by that corner. That was
safety, whoever it was, but he came up and blew him up. And it's funny because all these. What's that?
You got to bring that ball in, though, dude. He just turned blindly. You got to bring that in.
There's no time.
Yeah, he didn't have time. He caught it all the way out here, and he's just like, I'm going down. It's cool. Then,
dude, D-Hop copped the Hail Murray like that. Like, Hollywood.
Yeah, D-Hop's got different hands, though, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Did y'all see this?
Yeah, a guy.
Wait for it. Gets hit right in the face.
What?
It was by a Raiders fan. I mean, don't expect too much more. One more time in slow-mo.
But you see, most of the Raiders fans are like Kyler's that dude.
I mean, can we get into that part? Can we talk about K1? I think this was a bad look for Cliff Kingsbury. Kyler bailed him out multiple times with bad play calls, and Kyler runs around for 20 seconds to get a 2-point conversion. Kyler makes magic after magic after magic, and he is that dude. Jackie said it best on the Cardinal Rule on the post-game analysis. That's why you pay him $250+ million a year, or 46 a year, whatever it is. That is exactly why. So it's good to see that money was invested in a good area and not somebody like Jordan Phillips and a bunch of other bums that were out there like Chandler Jones, which I also want to get into. This is why you pay the man. Talk about the K1 magic, y'all. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he has more guts than anybody that I know. I mean, considering his size, like we've seen quarterbacks like Jake Locker, some of these guys that are like real physical, big specimen type quarterbacks that don't have maybe the same skill, but they have the same warrior mentality. And Kyler is just different, bro. He's different. And when you're talking about the play calling part of it, I have to look at the play calls again. That fourth down play, the Hollywood Brown play, like he had Zach Ertz open in the middle. He had a couple guys. So I don't know what his first read was, but I don't know if so. This is what we need to figure out: is Kyler making these throws on fourth down, the deep fades to AJ Green and to like Hollywood Brown in this situation, or is he just not taking the check down, or is he not just running? Because like that's what's creating all this havoc is him running.
No, that's what I've been saying. We need to lean into that, right? We need to lean into it. Let's move the pocket. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's not try to make him a stationary quarterback because that's when we get in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't how many times have we seen in the last 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is with Cliff, that we are throwing beyond 1 yard on a 1 yard play? Like when we need 1 yard, we're throwing 15 yards down the field. Well, how many times have we seen that and we haven't converted it?
Too many times.
Or we need to get in the end zone on 1 yard and we're throwing.
Correct.
Right? Fades, corner routes, like whatever it is. Like it just so I don't know if that's the read that Kyler's taking, the play calling. But you're right. Like, and I'll get to like because I have a really big point later on when we get to it. But yeah, I think everything changed when Kyler started getting out of the pocket. That's when everything changed in this game.
100%. What'd you think about the K1 magic that you saw today, Jay Boldy?
So yeah, in the first half, like that was straight Cliff scheme, dude. It was stationary.
Not just Cliff, but Vance Joseph too. Both of them.
Oh yeah, Vance Joseph too. Yeah, we'll get into him, but offensively, the whole first half was Cliff system, and it was like the stupid run down the middle, like throw like a screen pass, go for the big play on third, and then like closing out on fourth and just ending up punting it and stuff. And that happened with like 3-4 consecutive possessions. And I would think that at halftime, Kyler said something or Cliff said something that's like let me try something, do whatever, because just opening in the third quarter, Kyler took over and it looked like he was more poised. The offensive line looked a lot more jittery and more like on their feet. Greg Dortch was brilliant today. Like he was.
Told you, man, he's a fantasy football steal. I know,
dude. You're on it with Greg Dortch, bro. But Zach Ertz was being utilized more. They weren't even covering Zach Ertz majority of the time. We were running great screen passes to Greg Dortch, and Kyler was actually utilizing his legs because he knew he was able to. And Evan, if you could pull up the 2-point conversion play on Twitter,
that's a good call. Good call.
And just have it playing. Like he brought for 4 straight possessions, he marched the ball down the field. He controlled the clock. We utilized the run. Yeah. Connor went down, and he didn't return for the rest of the game. But Darrell Williams took over. Eno Benjamin was able to, put up yards as well. And we just basically controlled the clock the whole second half. Like to start with, after the second quarter, I mean, we only had, I think, 10 minutes of possession, and the Raiders had like 23-24 at that point. So the whole time just shifted over. And then right here, this 2-point conversion play right here, he had the ball for 20 seconds here, and he was able to manipulate this D line from doing jack shit, and he just easy run in, dude.
God, you love to see it.
That's what Kyler does best, man. And AJ Green, yeah, he dropped a lot of balls, but he caught the one that counted. And that,
he caught the one that counted, and that's what mattered. I mean, we were watching the end of the game together before we were going on the post-game show, and we were talking about that, and then totally like freed himself of any doubt and everything. You know what I mean? And totally redeemed yourself. That's exactly what he did. But yeah, dude, this is the stuff that I'm talking about with Cliff that I'm so tired of. Like, dude, why in the absolute hell are we throwing these screenplays to Fitz, to AJ Green, to these slow dudes? Like, does anybody remember Hollywood catching one?
Yeah,
Joe, do you remember? Did we throw? I mean, I know we did a couple screen passes to the running backs. Did we throw any screen passes to Hollywood Brown?
Did we?
No, I don't think we did in this game. I think.
Would you mind turning your mic down a little bit? We can hear ourselves echoing through. Or maybe do that little check mark box or whatever. But yeah, I don't think we did. Like, why aren't we doing that? And me and Jackie were like, dude, throw it downfield. The very first play of overtime, throw it downfield to Hollywood. Couldn't even do that. Like, just
he didn't have time. There was no time.
Joe just said Ertz has a screen pass.
Yeah,
that one worked.
Yeah, he had one and it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, corner phase with this is the stuff that we're talking about. We got all the way down. The time that we had down, we should have kicked a field goal, so we wouldn't have had to go for this crazy 2-point conversion. It was 2nd and 1. 2nd and 1, we do 3 straight stupid ass plays instead of just some sort of HB dive in the middle. Yeah, granted, Connor wasn't there, but y'all, I like what I saw from Eno. I like what I saw from Darrell Williams. Like, it was good to see Darrell Williams
really hard. They both ran the ball really hard, and they had. I know Eno had a couple good runs. I think he had another catch, and then and then Williams had that big run.
Yeah, it was fun to watch that. It was fun to see Zach Ertz get the ball like he should. How many targets did he have? I think he had 11 targets and 8 catches and 75 yards. Like, I'm glad I kept him on my fantasy team and didn't get rid of him because I had a feeling he was going to be a huge target the whole year. But can we give props to the defense and Vance Joseph
in the second half? Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what they did differently. It felt like they just showed more effort. Like, I don't know.
They made adjustments. They did something. They made adjustments. They held them to 3 points. They did something.
No, they did something, right? Like, I have to go back and watch it and see what they did. I mean, look, like, so I'll get into what I think. So I think this team's identity is creating havoc everywhere all the time. Like, on offense, that's Kyler being just Kyler. Just being his ultimate self. On defense, that's utilizing the athleticism and just the pure playmaking ability and just the opportunistic ability of Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, Jalen Thompson, all those guys, right? Like, I mean, Byron Murphy picking up the ball with one hand, just running it in. That's just so, like, that's the sort of thing. Right? And all of a sudden we're seeing, okay, these guys are just swarming in the secondary. The problem is we don't know what we're getting from the, that was in like man coverage or zone coverage with just like a normal blitz, not like anything jailhouse blitz or anything like that. But I feel like
Mike Evans and Tom Brady, by the way. I just thought it was cool and I just saw it and I wanted to share it with y'all.
That's cool. But yeah, I think this team their whole identity is havoc. You don't know what to expect, especially in the secondary. I think that's what we have to lean into moving forward and just be absolutely bonkers off the wall with everything.
They played well, that secondary. Devontae Adams, 2 receptions, 12 yards, and that short touchdown, which was a pick play, which was less about what Devontae Adams did, and it was a pick play.
Yeah, it was a total pick. Should have been offensive pass interference for sure.
So Kyler Murray does what we all thought Kyler Murray should do. Defense makes adjustments. I saw great things from Rashard Lawrence and a few things from Lucky Fotu, which really made me feel good about it. JJ Watt, he had a couple plays, but he was there and he was double teamed, which is what we all said what we needed. We needed that double team. And Chandler Jones, non-existent.
DJ Humphries held him like a motherfucker, dude.
And beat him. Yeah, man.
And beat him. Yeah.
And he had, I think he had like one pressure, but he has 0 sacks this season so far.
Yeah.
We're used to
And
that. We've
2
seen that
tackles
plenty of
today.
times. Yeah. And no tackles for loss. So we're used to this, Chandler Jones.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know how good the Raiders team is. I don't think Derek Carr is in the top 3rd tier of the quarterback. I think he's like mid-tier in the second tier, you know what I mean? I don't know how good this Raiders team is, so I don't know what this means for us other than it's momentum, it's a win. It was fun, it was crazy. Should we have been in that position to first place? We could have that argument, right? And I just don't know what it means moving forward. Am I getting too ahead of myself, you guys think?
I think this is the type of game that solidifies what this team is about. These are one of those turning points. I know it's really early. Like what I typically say is you don't really know a team's identity until like week 4. But I'm going to go ahead and say, like, I kind of know what this team's identity is. And it's really Kyler being the offensive steward. And then the defense has to be, it's all about the secondary and the linebackers. Like, whatever we get from pressure on the front line, we'll get it. But like the biggest impact plays came when Isaiah Simmons blitzed or, like somebody from the secondary linebacking corps showed up and made a play in the backfield. I'm still worried about tackling with this team. I will say, what's that?
No, I agree.
Yeah. Tackling, like we were getting tackles in the backfield and they were breaking it for 10 yards. So something's going wrong there. We have to get better at that. I thought the game was over on that PI call, which I don't think was a PI call. I thought it was BS. I thought that was the guy was not able to catch that and ended up turning into, I think that was 3rd down for the Raiders. What's that?
Jalen Thompson one?
Was it Thompson? Or no, it was Marco Wilson. No, the one
I faintly remember that one.
So that's what set up the field goal to put them up to 23-7.
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that play I thought was bullshit. I thought that the ball was like at least 5 yards in front of the player. There's no way he was going to get there, even if.
Yeah, I thought it was uncatchable and over his head, but he did drag him down, but I thought it was uncatchable.
But he dragged him down after the ball hit the ground, so it was just like anyway. So
there was calls on Connor too when he was down. Like they came in and they were like throwing Connor around left and right after the whistle. They hit him in the head and they picked up the flag. That like everything that could go wrong did go wrong for us in the first half. Unfortunately for our special guest who is about to join us right now, everything went wrong for their team. And I'm really curious to hear about what he thinks went wrong with the Raiders, where they are moving forward, where they are now, that kind of thing. We are about to be joined by Eric from SC Experience. Salute, man. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a rough day for you. Us Cardinals fans, we've been on the receiving end of those far too many times. It's nice for us. Sorry for you. But really enjoyed my time on your podcast. If anybody wants to check them out, SC Experience on YouTube, I'll drop the link here shortly as well. Eric, what happened in the second half? Like from the Raiders' perspective, dog, let us know.
Hey, they went totally against my key takeaways. Remember yesterday when we did our preview and we had those three keys to victories? Well, they went against my keys to victories. The number one thing I said was run the ball effectively. They ran it in the first half. They did a little bit of balanced offense, which was working. It was 20 zip. So that was working. I don't know why they went away from it in the second half, and it really limited us. You're really seeing Kingsbury and the Cardinals really make a lot of adjustments. And I would think as the Raiders, you would adjust back. I don't see any of that. They continued to go against what was working in the first half. On top of that, what went wrong again is I talked about coaching yesterday, and the coaching was bad. In all honestly, it sucks that we're the ones receiving all this because we had high hopes going into week 2. We just thought it was a little bit of they needed time to gel and a new system. They just needed week 1. That was the jitters against the Chargers. And then coming into the Cardinals, you would expect more, which you've seen in the first half, and then the second half, none of that. So in all honesty, they just went away from all those things I talked about that we could win the game, right? And then the crazy ending. In my opinion, you may call me a little bit biased, but I think the ball touched the floor when AJ Green caught it. But that's just me. But I could see why they didn't overturn it because there wasn't too much to look at, right? It was kind of hard to overturn it, so of course they got it. But besides that, I think it's just coaching and going away with what was working in the first half really got us the loss in the second half.
And if you weren't a little bit biased, I don't know if I could call you a true fan of your team anyway. So we respect that. But Eric, thanks again for coming on. Welcome to He's on Fire podcast. You're with Jay Boldy, Amit, and me, Coach Evan. Everybody hit the subscribe button on this. Please like it out, share it, all that fun stuff. Links below if you choose to donate to the podcast to keep us going as well too. Amit Jay, what I know you guys have some questions for Eric over here. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean I was more worried about that Byron Murphy like tossing the ball away at the end of the game than I was about the AJ Green. But we've seen enough AJ Green putting the ball on the floor enough in the last 2 years, so that's not a surprise to us. But I was going to ask you, did you think that PI play, the one to that Marco Wilson got called on that third down play, was that a PI or not? The one where you guys got it and made the field goal to go up 23-7?
I honestly think it could go either way, right? A part of me thought no, the unbiased side of me, and at the end of the day, it really looked like the refs were really not so good throughout the game for both teams. So in all honesty, even regardless of if I think if it was a PI or not, I would say no. But at the same time, we didn't take advantage after that. We didn't score a touchdown because at the end of the day, looking at all this, as you can see there.
Okay.
Let me see it again.
I don't know about that, champ. I don't know.
That's uncatchable.
Yeah, it looks like he tripped up. Yeah, it looks like Mac Hollins tripped up there, causing the cornerback to also fall. So I wouldn't really consider it PI, in my opinion, just taking the bias aside, like I said. But like I said, there was some calls on our side that should have been called as well. But at the end of the day, like I said, we could say it kind of dictated the game a little, but it didn't really. What happened?
Yeah,
he's kind of draped over him a little bit right there.
Yeah. I guess
that left hand, the left hand, I believe, the left hand of
right there. It looks like Marco Wilson's arm is underneath him. So I can see how you could call that. My thing is that he falls right there at the what is that, the 17-yard line, and the ball lands at the 9.
Yeah, it's not catchable.
So,
but whatever.
And that's why I don't consider it a PI, because it was an uncatchable ball. It was way overthrown. I gotta admit, Derek Carr was overthrowing a lot, so I can't defend on that part. But in all honesty, if the ball was closer, that was a full-blown PI. But because the ball was overthrown, I would say it shouldn't have been considered a PI.
Well, I mean, and I see what Joe's putting in here in the comments. The reason that I thought, because the Cardinals had momentum at that point, and it was third down, and if they go out of there and the Raiders punt, it changes the whole game, because who knows what happens, right? Then you guys get the ball, you don't score, but you get the field goal, and luckily the Cardinals were able to stop you. I'll say that we got lucky because you got the ball first and goal at the 7 and not at like the 1. So it makes it a lot harder to score from that position. But to me, I felt like that's when I thought the game was over. Like, I was like, this game's over. Like, they got this. And I think that was like, was that late third quarter? Then even after that, we go down, and it was that.
No, I think it was like mid third quarter, but it doesn't matter. Yeah,
whatever. And then we go down with in the early fourth quarter, and then we go down and we don't score. We get 4 chances, or we just don't even get the first down to get a chance to score. When Evan said, to your point, Evan, we should have kicked the field goal at that point. That made more sense than going for it there. But I don't know. Like, let me ask you, Eric, do you think the Raiders choked or the Cardinals just played
out of their minds?
I think I have to give a lot of credit to Kyler Murray. He's been a guy that I knew coming into this game he wasn't going to be no pushover, just because of his ability to get out of the pocket, his ability and mobility, his athleticism is a key factor in his game, right? Um, I have to give credit to you guys adjusting. I have to give credit to where credit's due. For you guys to not have DeAndre Hopkins, and we all know the record with Kyler Murray without DeAndre Hopkins is not so well. He really did made sure to put the team on his back, and for that I give a lot of credit to the Cardinals. Where I think overall what happened towards the end of the game, I think we beat ourselves, and this is what I'm saying when I say we beat ourselves. The play calling at the end, right? We made you guys get turnover on downs in overtime. You guys missed the fourth down, right? We get the
Right.
ball
Yep.
back in great possession. You would think a team that has been running the ball pretty decently, when in earlier in the game, you would think we would run it on first down, right? Get a little bit of yards, get a push forward, but instead Derek Carr audibles into a pass,
Yep.
causing the chain of events, pass, and then of course the hit on Renfro, which actually later on I found out. I don't know if you guys seen this, but Renfro's getting checked for a concussion, so it was pretty bad at that moment. Why he fumbled, he was already a little bit dazed. So because for him to fumble on back-to-back plays is very unheard of when it comes to Renfro's game. So that's just something I wanted to put there. But
Damn.
towards
And
the end,
there's
I
like
think
15.
yeah.
I was just gonna say real quickly, there's like 15 things on that last play of the game that people looked at
Mhm.
because one of our guys tried to rip the helmet off of your guy.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like that was
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
penalty. Like there was just so much chaos on that last
It
play
was too
that
much.
could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your guy almost let go of the ball right before getting into the end
Yeah.
zone. I was kind
Yeah,
of
Myron.
hoping. I was
Yeah.
like, please, 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 please let go of the ball. Come on. But no, it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Jay, go ahead.
yeah, Eric, like you mentioned, one of the key tidbits that you mentioned was the run game. And last season, we were atrocious when it came to defending the run game. And right away, the Raiders started pushing the pace with Josh Jacobs and just check down and up the field, and it was really working. And it was just weird how they just strayed away from that. I don't know if it was to get Hobbs and Devontae more involved. Like I don't know the exact direction. That's always been my biggest problem with McDaniels, like in the past, especially with him with the Patriots and the other organizations he's been in. This is kind of like an ongoing thing with him. Going into week 3, I don't know who y'all play in
Tennessee.
week 3. Tennessee, okay. What you've seen the last 2 games, do you have faith in McDaniels going forward? Because he has a track record of kind of thinking outside the box, but it usually kind of ends up on the worst side of things. And then my follow-up question is, what are your feelings about Chandler Jones going forward?
Yeah, let's start with Chandler Jones. Start with Chandler Jones, please, because I told you my thoughts of him. Like I didn't think he was gonna touch Kyler Murray once. I
Yeah.
thought he was fool's gold for y'all. Talk to me about him and your probably disappointment.
When I tell you he's one of those players that is getting the most bash in the last few hours. He seriously is. Chandler Jones. I would have loved him. I was talking about a revenge game. I was like, damn, Chandler Jones is about to go out there and get Kyler Murray. Hopefully, I was like hoping. And then you look at the game and you're like, where's Chandler Jones? Is he on the sideline? Is he hurt? But he's out there and he ain't even doing anything. So I'm like, damn, come on, Chandler. When you have somebody like Max Crosby on the other side, you would think a pass rusher on the other side would have the ability to get through. And you hardly even seen it. So for Chandler Jones to do that, I think, in all honesty, we overpaid for him. I think he robbed us as far as week 2 goes. And maybe I'm overreacting, but I really think he robbed us from our money in our cap space in the last 2 weeks. Until he shows me, I'm going to continue thinking like that. So I wish Chandler Jones had his revenge game, but he was non existent. And at the end of the day, I do think he's a little overrated. So
That's
yeah.
what we'll tell you that. Like he'll
Yeah,
just give you
absolutely.
3 or 4 weeks where he gets all his sacks for the entire season. And then the rest of the weeks, maybe a couple tackles for loss, maybe something that you see a tip pass, but you're only going to get like 4 or 5 good weeks out of Chandler Jones out of a whole season.
Yeah.
And to add to that, like I think Chandler Jones is good for your guys' system. I mean, Max Crosby,
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's an animal. So if Max is still doing his thing and Chandler Jones can at least collapse the pocket a bit, I think that would do a lot for you guys just in general. But if you're expecting the sack machine, the all-time sack leader
Oh
in
yeah.
Arizona, Chandler Jones, you're not going to get that. And that was our issue past week one because he had that 5 sack game against Tennessee, and then the rest of the season, I mean, he just wasn't doing anything, and it was just J.J. Watt every now and then, and it was
Golden.
Zach Allen and our other kind of sort of scrubs in a sense. So like Chandler Jones is always going to bring the pressure, but he's not going to give you the sacks like that. So
Yeah.
that's just for the future reference. And so I think he is sort of worth the money, but at the same time, it's where your expectations are.
Yeah. And what you said, Eric, earlier when Evan had the stats up, like you guys only had 80 yards rushing, right, on like 20 or something carries.
Mm-hmm.
So I know like maybe there was a couple good runs on those initial drives, but I feel like the Cardinals did a pretty good job, and we did a pretty good job last week too against a run. I feel like, I think maybe this year we're going to be better against a run than we normally are. But I mean, it's tough to say because there's a couple times too where we caught Jacobs in the backfield and our poor tackling let him get like a 10-yard run. On top of like the plays that they already made. So, I don't know. But how do you feel about the Raiders this season? Like, what do you feel like? Are you confident you guys can make the playoffs, or more than that?
It's tough, right? I seen a stat. It's like 12% when you go 0-2 in the season. It's a ridiculous amount of percentage. I think as of right now, I'm trying to take, especially after this loss. I think I'm taking it week by week. I can't really fully say no more. If we were 1-1, I would probably give you a better answer as far as yes or no, straight up, right? Last year, right, we had adversity, the Rugg situation, stuff like that, John Gruden situation. It was a lot of turmoil, and that happened in the middle of the season, and we had a losing streak of about 4 or 5 games that I could remember, and we were throwing in the towel, we were throwing the white flag, but then we came up and ended up making the playoffs. A lot of these players that came from that team last year, they know how to fight through adversity. So what I say, is it possible to make the playoffs? Yes. Am I expecting to make the playoffs? I hope so. The hope in me wants to, but the way it's going, like a little bit of what Jay said as far as Josh McDaniels, and this is gonna tie in the earlier question because I don't want to skip it. The Josh McDaniels situation. I'm taking it week by week with him too. I'm not fully sold on him. I think when people get it a little bit mixed up with Josh McDaniels, right? When people say, "Oh, he's a proven coach," he's a proven coach. He's a proven offensive coordinator. He's not a proven head coach. When he played in Denver Broncos, we all know how that went. It went horrible. He even talked about in the press conference this year how he learned from it, but I haven't seen him learn from it. His coaching hasn't been the best. The team has been unprepared, and that falls on the coach. And at the end of the day, until he proves it to me, I'm gonna say I'm a little worried with Josh McDaniels at the head coach helm. So I would say, I hope the playoffs. Will it happen? Possibility. Am I a little worried? Yes.
Most of these guys are coordinators. They're not head coaches. I'd even say our head coach, we don't even know if he's actually a good coordinator. He may be a better just offensive mind and coach rather than a coordinator. But okay, if you want to change your coach or your quarterback, who are you changing first?
Oh, that's a
good question.
That's a good question.
And you're upgrading one of those positions, right?
Yeah, you're
upgrading.
Like,
it's an upgrade.
You know
That's
what?
A good question.
I'm gonna go as of right now. As far as week 2 goes, I know we haven't seen the full potential of Josh McDaniels. I would say coach, and this is the reason being, right? I think to make it to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, you don't need an elite quarterback. You've seen it multiple times in the past, right? An elite quarterback would be cool too. But if you have a head coach that prepares your squad, knows what to do at halftime, knows how to adjust throughout the game, and make sure your team is prepared as a whole with a good scheme and making sure everybody's in line and a good locker room, you have the capability of winning any game. When you have a dismantled coach that hasn't been really proven, you kind of show it, right? As you can see with Josh McDaniels right now, it doesn't look like he's got the team under his belt. He says he does, but he really doesn't. And Carr is not an elite quarterback. When people tell me, "Oh, why can't he be like Lamar? Why can't he be like this?" I'm like, he's not Lamar. He's not Justin Herbert. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron. We could go down the list. He's a good enough quarterback to do just enough to win. That's just what he is, and we should accept that as a Raider. And that's what a lot of Raider fans don't get. They want, oh, we could get Lamar Jackson next year, in the draft. That's not how it goes. Not all draft prospects end up turning out good, right?
Nope.
So in my opinion, I think head coach. For me, it would
Okay.
be head coach as of right now because I think Carr is good enough to get us there, but he's not elite by a far.
No, I mean, I see it both ways. Like what you're saying, like look at Matthew Stafford, right? Like he went from Detroit to the Rams with better offensive weapons, better coach, and you're able to maximize his potential. I'll still say the Rams got lucky though, with some of the plays in the games and then who they played in the playoffs, and then all that.
Shit,
but either
Rams
way,
got lucky this week against the Falcons.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they came close with that, dude.
Yeah, way close. But yeah, my point is, you can do it both ways. Like I think like you can build around a particular type of quarterback and build a system around them with a defense, or you can just get, if you're lucky enough to get somebody like a Lamar or a Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, I mean, then you just build it around them. Like that's what Andy Reid, the way they played before they had Patrick Mahomes with what's his name? The guy from the Niners,
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, right? Played a totally different way, switched up their entire offense for him, and they, they got to 2 Super Bowls. So,
yeah,
facts. Eric, the Cards come off of week 1 and just get absolutely embarrassed from top to bottom. You guys have a tough fought game with the Chargers, and then our opponents played each other on Thursday night, right? We got to see the Chargers completely cough it up, and some people want to talk injury to Justin Herbert and all that, but they coughed it up to the Chiefs. So both teams look beatable. Now going to this game with the Cardinals kind of upsetting you guys, and I'm sure you've heard the biggest loss in franchise history, or comeback loss, down 20-0 for you guys. Where do you stand with the Arizona Cardinals? Are we better than you thought? Worse? Because I don't want to call you out. I want to call you out a little bit, respectfully, of course. But you did say you thought that you were going to blow us out. So I got to say that. But after seeing them and seeing the adjustments that were made, what are your thoughts on the Cardinals moving forward and their potential?
Yeah, I like you said, I did think we were going to beat you guys convincingly because on paper and the talent we have, and you guys having a lot of injuries and having a lot of concerns, you would think a team would take advantage of that and seeing the weakness, right? Which in the first half you seen, and then like I said, in the second half you did not see us take advantage of nothing. So in all honesty, I think that the Cardinals are a good squad. I think especially when you guys are healthy, you guys are a contender. And I wouldn't say better. I think we're both two competitive teams. I just feel like you guys are possibly, with this win, I think it's going to be really good for you guys moving forward. You guys have a little bit of questions answered, a little tiny bit of questions answered for you guys. For us, we got no questions answered. In all honesty, in the first half, we thought we had our questions answered, but not at all. It's the same problems we had in week 1 pretty much, except for this time it wasn't all on Carr. This time it was more of the coaching staff. So I would say we're both competitive teams if I were to answer it. I think we both have a wonderful, amazing talent on both squads. I think Kyler Murray is a very, underrated quarterback, especially after this game. I was going to give him this game to really prove to me that, hey, he's Kyler Murray. He's that man. And he did. The fact that, a lot of people had a lot of concerns on Kyler Murray saying that he can't do this and can't do that. And I've been seeing it all over Twitter from my fan base and others. It's good to see a guy really shut people up. You would love to see it. That's good for you guys. For us, it kind of...
I love it!
It kind of blew up in our faces. And that guy right there, J.J. Watt, yeah, he caused havoc coming off of injury. So, at the end of the day, I would say we're both competitive teams. We both have talented teams. I wouldn't say one's better than the other, but you guys got us this time, so I got to give you guys your flowers for beating us.
Hey, you blew us out in the first half. You blew us out 20-0 in the first half.
The first half made me turn off the game, bro.
29-3 in the second.
But to add to what you're saying, I think the Raiders have a really solid team. I think they could really make a push. I mean, everyone had the Broncos being like second or third in the division. I just don't see that.
And they look dookie.
Yeah, they look pretty bad. So I think the Raiders are going to be pretty steady. I mean, they might just turn it on and like in a couple weeks from now. I really haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know how hard it is, but our first 6 games are pretty like jam packed. So we're hoping for 3-3 to start with until we get D-Hop back.
Yeah.
And that's just really what we're going for. And I'm glad we're finally in the win column. But like I think for you guys from an outside perspective, I think the Raiders are in a good place. I mean, with all the questions with Josh McDaniels, I still think he's a very competent, offensive-minded coach. I mean, he's proven it time and time again with the talent that he does have. I think Derek Carr, like he's not elite, but I mean he's up there. Like he's competent as well. I mean, like he's in the group with Damian Lillard. Or no, God,
I just sorry, I didn't mean to stumble you there, but
I like Kirk Cousins and like Carson Wentz when he's on one. You know, he's with those guys that ones that can really like dish the ball.
Apparently, Joe Flacco this week.
Yeah, but like I think you guys going forward. I mean, your running back room is good. Your offensive line is one of the better ones in the league. And then your defensive line, I mean, your 2 edge rushers can just cause absolute havoc in any given week. So I really don't think there's anything much to worry about. I think it's just overall poise and execution going forward with you guys.
Yeah,
this was just a crazy ass game, bro. Just a
crazy.
And let's be honest, these first 2 weeks of the NFL all around are some of the weirdest that I've seen. I mean, I think the passing yards leader is Carson Wentz right now because that's what we all predicted. And like number 2 is Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco went crazy.
Do you guys remember like maybe like 10 years ago when like in the preseason like the starting quarterback would play like 3 quarters, or like he would play at least enough to get a rhythm. Now we don't see it. So now what you're seeing in week 1 is, and we saw it with those first 9 games, the early morning games last week where the quarterbacks really sucked, all the ones that changed teams. And then by the second half, they kind of got into a rhythm, and then those teams came back, and it became like a really interesting week of football. And like I feel like these first two games are like preseason games almost.
Everything's feeling each other out, and I completely agree. This year and last year, more than any other year, especially with the added game as well, too. I don't know if anybody's putting a lot of stock into it, and the teams that do put a lot of stock into it, us last year, the Bills and Chiefs right now, for example, let's see what they can do down the road if they get too tired, if the burden gets too heavy. I mean, the Rams were not that good to start last year. No. They came on strong, and they finished strong. And to your point, Eric, you guys had like a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and you still came back to get the playoffs. So it's a long season, but it's a short season all at the same time, and a lot of things can happen.
And especially Jay, with more wild card spots, it just makes it more available for teams to make it in. So you can start bad and still make it in and still make a difference in the playoffs.
Yeah. Jay, I wanted to go to you with something, but I honestly forgot, and I remembered my other question I wanted to ask Eric. Your other big acquisition, Davante Adams, 2 receptions, 12 yards. He had a touchdown that was really off of a pick play, so less about what he did and more about the scheme and how it was drawn up. Thoughts on Davante Adams, and just was he held in check? Was it bad play calling? A little of everything? What did you think?
I'm kind of waiting. When I seen the stats on him, I was like, dang, I would have thought he would have more catches. I wasn't really paying attention too much to him because the camera angles when you watch the game are a certain way. Until I get the all 22 film of seeing the overview, I could give you a better understanding of, oh yes, the Cardinals did their job to get away from him. But I did see a couple double teams on him. Of course, you try to knock out the best, receiver that we got. And, I would say as of right now, yeah, you guys did a good job for him to only have 2 catches. And his only good catch was in the end zone for about, 3-4 yards. It was a little pitch practically. It was nothing too fancy.
It was 1 yard because his longest was 11 yard, and his other reception was 1 yard. So.
Oh, I was trying to give him a little bit of credit, man. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
And I would just contest and say that maybe there was PI on that play, offensive PI.
You've said that twice now. I'm gonna pull that up.
Yeah, can you pull it up? I have to see it.
Like I know. So is it like within 5 yards, right? Like you can make contact with the defensive back.
Yeah, that was the Jalen Thompson one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it right
not
here.
PI, but
He's on the far end right now.
almost
So let's
snapped
watch.
Just
that
watch
one
the
too.
inside receiver. Watch the inside receiver.
This is a Darren Waller one.
No, that's clean.
No, no, that's clean.
You
I
have to
thought
see
you
it
were
from
gonna
a
pull
different
up
angle. But
the floater to Darren Waller. I thought you were gonna pull that one up.
if you see it from another angle, he's grabbing him on the shoulder. I mean, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It's. I think that's
Well,
it within like legal yardage of like you can do it. But I'm just saying it just to be a grouchy Cardinals fan.
Sorry, I was hearing something else. I think there's another. When I saw this video, they were going to another shot. So maybe there's
another
something else
angle
coming.
from behind Carr. But I mean, I don't think like whatever. Like he grabbed him right there. I mean, they're not going to call it so quick.
With
I didn't
the
know
whole
Devontae Adams had ups
Devontae
like that,
thing,
though.
when we have D Hop, he's basically our decoy, and so like last season, like D Hop will only have like maybe 4 or 5 catches a game, and then it was like Christian Kirk and Rondale Moore and AJ Green having the majority of the pigskin. So I in this game, like right out the gate, I forget the wide receiver's name. Like who was it? Hobbs for the Raiders.
Which one?
There's Waller.
There's Waller, Matt Collins.
Hollins.
Number 10 is Matt Collins.
Hollins,
Number 10 is Matt Collins. Yeah.
Hollins, yeah. They just kept on feeding Hollins, and then we're doubling Devontae. I'm like, okay, they're basically doing what we do.
Yeah.
And eventually, we started doubling Hollins, and just the rock never went to Devontae again, like throughout the whole game. So, like I was expecting Devontae to get some big ass play on us, like he did last year. It just never happened. I was just waiting on it.
Yeah, with Devontae Adams, I think that's what happened, right? I would have a better understanding once I go over film and see the wide view of how it happened, right? But we kind of did the opposite of last week. I say that a lot because that's what really happened, right? Last week it was just feeding Adams, regardless if he's double covered, they're triple covered, it didn't matter. And then we were calling for Derek Carr to look at his other receivers, and that's exactly what he did. He looked at everybody else and not much of Adams this game. I would say maybe he was drawing double teams, maybe triple teams. Like I said, I seen a couple of times him getting double teamed. So it kind of did help a lot with Renfro, and it helped a lot with Waller, and it helped a lot with Matt Collins, especially getting some burn out there. So I would say as of right now, I also agree with you, Jay, in that sense that he was practically a decoy out there the whole time. But like I said, I would give you a better answer once I see the film.
Facts. It was a crazy ass game. My only take on that at the end is when I started the podcast, I said, and this is no disrespect, I just don't know how good or how great the Raiders are. So I don't know how much stock to put into this win. I mean, it's a great win. Coming from behind is great. It tested them. They were able to come back. They made adjustments, and those are the things that I'm taking out of it. But we've got to see a little bit more from the black and silver from you guys. I think next week's going to be big. You can't start out 0-3. You guys for sure can't start out 0-3. That's going to be that's almost a dagger right there. But Tennessee doesn't look that good right now. I mean, obviously we'll see what they do tomorrow night. I need Derrick Henry to go off personally. I just am not 100% sure how great you guys are. I think they could be an 8 or 9 win team. And that's kind of what I pegged them at beforehand. Is that where you're officially kind of seeing them right now?
Yeah. And it's a good thing it's Tennessee, right? We all know what Chandler Jones did to Tennessee. So that's a good thing, right? Hey, that's a good thing, right? Hopefully he can
Taylor
do it again.
Lewan, their left tackle, came out afterwards and said, he just gave me the business. He did this, he did that. I wasn't ready.
Well, there we go.
But this could be a revenge game for Taylor Lewan personally. You never know. But hey,
I hope it's the other way. Yeah,
there's a thing with Tennessee. If you guys watch them, they play up and down to their competition. Yeah. Like this, you know what I mean? So like the way they lost last week or whatever, I can't remember how close it was, but I mean, they play really good. So we'll see. Buffalo is getting 10 points in this game on Monday night, which I can't see any way that Tennessee doesn't cover that game. Tennessee just
I
is too
agree.
physical. Their team is they have talent all across their roster. So but I feel like they always play up and down in the competition. It's always close with them. So it'll be it'll be interesting to see as a litmus
Especially with
test.
like no AJ Brown and their receiving core is just pretty whack right now. I'm curious to see what they do, and I'm curious to see what you guys do. I mean, the NFL moves on. Eric, do you have any questions for us, man, to talk about the Cardinals or what you saw or whatever?
Um,
You just want to get this
trying to
taste
think.
out of your mouth now.
I tried forgetting, man, of the game, but I'm not gonna forget this for. I'm not even gonna go live for a couple days, bro. That's how bad this loss really hurts, and a lot of us are like that right now. If you would have
Well, we
only seen,
appreciate you coming
yeah.
on because we would
Oh yeah,
not
of
come
course.
on
That takes balls.
if this happened to us.
Yeah, it does.
I told you guys. I told you he was probably the most non-biased Raiders and Lakers fan as well too. So, well, let's talk about Lakers just real quick before
Damn.
we all jump out of here.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to watching them? Do you think this is a competent roster that they have with adding Dennis Schroeder, Pat Bev? They still got Russell Westbrook. I mean, do you think they're a playoff team next year?
Hey, the Lakers
Silence
are
is
another
golden. We love
Hey,
that.
I ain't gonna
Boom
lie.
shakalaka!
Hey, those Lakers, man, they're oh my god, I hate how they're running things right now. But you know what? We've been lacking a lot of defensive help last year, especially. So bringing somebody like Patrick Beverly that could get into the opponent's head and bring in that fire, right? I think of him like a Draymond Green, right, with the Warriors. You know, Draymond Green is not the superstar, not Curry or Clay, the shooter, but he is the guy to over there intimidate your opponents and try to get in their heads and play physical and play that defense, right? And play a key role. And that's what Pat Bev is going to bring to the team. What's getting me a little bit concerned is Westbrook once again, because Westbrook is not looking too good with us. I've been saying this since last year, especially in the beginning, because I was already getting too stressed with them in the beginning. When we got Westbrook, I was like, bench him. His best way to be on the Lakers team is to be a six man on the Lakers. That's his best role.
You
And
said
I
that too
don't
on the
care.
pod.
Yeah, and I don't care if Dennis Schroeder or Pat Bev gets the start, but don't have Westbrook out there with the starters because something with Westbrook is that, and we seen it a game last year, right? LeBron was hurt, AD was hurt, so Westbrook was the only ball dominant guy out there, and he put up pretty good stats. He got a triple double. He had 30 points. He looked like the Westbrook from OKC that got triple doubles. So he's a guy that needs to be the only person with the ball. And when you have LeBron there, AD, and the fact that the organization is coming out saying that AD is the guy that's gonna be running around the offense is gonna run around him. It kind of tells you like, hey, put Westbrook on the bench, let him come out with fire spirits, with energy coming off the six man, while LeBron gets some rest, AD gets some rest, so you at least have a ball dominant guy out there. And now that you're bringing out these young guys, right, and the Lakers with Toscano and stuff like that, you're bringing in more firepower and the young guns because you always need young guns in any team, right? So that's a good thing that they're doing, but I'm still a little concerned with how I don't know how Ham is gonna do it, the new coach for us.
Yeah.
He's never been a head coach, so that's something to really monitor. But besides that, if they bring Westbrook to the six man, I think this team could make the playoffs. But if we don't make the playoffs again,
Wild shot!
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if they started Patrick Beverly ahead of Westbrook after the beef that those two guys have? And how is that going to work?
Start the
Like,
season off right,
or Schroeder, right? Like he played with Schroeder too, right? So
yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Westbrook's going to get bought out. I think
I
that's
hope
where it's
so.
going.
I hope so. Westbrook, and the thing is, Westbrook is a little bit of a drama guy, right? A drama queen, you could call him.
Yeah.
Last year when he got benched towards the final minutes, right? He wasn't out there as if we're down by like
Closer.
1 point,
Yeah.
right? The closing offense. There we
Yeah.
go. That's what it's called. The closing team. He got a little bit mad. You seen it. He expressed that he deserves it, and at the end of the day, he doesn't. I mean, the way he was playing, hell no, I don't want him out there. But he caused a little bit of commotion. So there's gonna be a lot of commotion, I think, already with Pat Bev on the team because those guys do not get along. I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
clips of them hugging, but I think that's just fake love. I don't think they're really buddy. I think it's fake love. So it's gonna be interesting how they go about things in the locker room and how Ham handles this team, and hopefully it's for the better, right?
Not for us. We don't wish
Oh
anything good
yeah,
on the
Phoenix
Lakers. They're
Suns.
they're they're our most hated, probably my most hated team of all time. So I
Oh,
mean, but it's good to get that insight. I do kind of disagree with you on the Pat Bev thing, because there's so many times like he tries to get in other people's heads and he ends up almost hurting his team even more a lot of the time. Like he unlocked Devin Booker when we played them against the Timberwolves this year, and when we played them when he was with the Clippers the year before in the playoffs. And Devin Booker's like, no, no, we're not doing it. And he tries and he tries and he tries, and sometimes it works. Like this year when they beat, who did they beat in the play-in game? Whoever they beat in the play-in game, when he was like crying, running, walking off the court, like in times like that, it does work. But I mean, it's just that's a twofold guy. I really
it's like an
wanted.
inconsistency. Yeah.
It's a complete inconsistency. I really
Yeah.
wanted to see him play here in Utah, where I live. Honestly, I wanted to see that for my personal amusement and enjoyment. Jay and Amit, you guys got any questions for him before we dip out of here in a little bit on this Victory Sunday evening?
No, it's so early in the season to even ask, like, the prediction stuff. Like, I know we do it just because we have to do it, but I don't think so, man. I think we covered everything. I mean, yeah, like I got all my Raiders questions answered. I appreciate you coming on, because I know it's tough to come on after a loss like that. Because after we lost, when we lost to the Mavericks in the playoffs, the Suns did. I don't think we did a pod for like at least 2 weeks.
Minimum.
Yeah,
at least I didn't. I know I didn't come on. I know maybe you guys did, but I did not come on.
I kind of feel better now just doing a couple days off, because that's how it's going right now. Because the whole comment section, the whole fan base all day today, and every Raider content creators chat was, get rid of Carr, get rid of Josh McDaniels, screw this team, I'm done, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we were going ballistic all day today. So I think everybody needs to take a little rest on the in Raider Nation right now, and I'm gonna take a little days off, probably till Wednesday or maybe Thursday.
Yeah, and then you gotta reload and come back to it. Jay, you have any final questions?
Yeah, like basically what you said. I mean, like, those feelings is what makes football the most popular sport in the U.S. And it's like, once you lose, you feel like you're not going to win another game, and then once you win, you feel like you're unstoppable. And Evan said that a bunch on the pod. It's like the truest thing ever. I think the Raiders are. Yeah, like I think the Raiders are in a fine spot. They're just starting off, sort of, like rubbish and stuff. I mean, like, you guys opened up with the Chargers. The Chargers are highly, sought after, and people have high expectations for them, and they did what they were supposed to do. I think Carr just needs to, tighten up the leash a bit and just, do what he knows he can do consistently. And I think y'all can really make the distance. But do you have a Lakers like corner, like in your little in your hub
in your studio, or is it just Raiders in the corner?
Well, I have a lot of things actually. I mean, I could sit here and show you for a little bit, but behind me here, let me see if I could get out of the way.
Because I don't know if you do Laker content and you just like switch.
I did, but I kind of quit on them after they just quit on all of us. So that's why you see too much of it. But if you look at the beginning of my channel, I did do a lot of Laker game play-by-plays. I was really invested in them. But I'll bring it back once it gets closer, to the. It's actually already close. Yeah, but
we'll have to collab up and do the first Lakers Suns. We'll do a live play-by-play. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's all down there. I have a lot of things over here too, and I have stuff over there that I still haven't put up. I'm still trying to set up my corner because I do everything from my room. That's my little setup. I do everything through my room. So this little corner here, I'm gonna expand it, and if you see right here next to the thing, it's clear wall. I'm gonna put my Kobe stuff up and Lakers and all that, and then on the other side, I'm put my Dodgers and all that. So I'm barely setting up.
That's where we stop with the Dodgers.
Come on, man. You gotta love the Dodgers.
No, absolutely.
Rejected.
100 wins.
100 wins. Oh Lord, and $250 million a show for it. But we're not going to get into it. We're not going to get into baseball right now. Eric, thanks for coming on, man. Everybody, please like and subscribe to this. I'm going to drop his link in our description so everybody can see it, and subscribe to you as well. Please go over there. We appreciate you coming on, Cardinals fans. It has been a long time since we've been able to taste victory. It has been a long time. We needed this. We couldn't even have a W in the offseason. It was one thing after another. So cheers to you, Cardinals fans. We're going to play a little outro video. We're going to get out of here. But again, please subscribe. Please share this out, like it, all that fun stuff. Hopefully we'll be back this week or next week and there's something like that. Catch us on azsportsunderground.com. He's on Fire Podcast. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.
He sets, looks up, and it is caught! Down strong! Blitz coming, Matthews, Palmer extending the play, crosses the field, Larry Fitzgerald. There he goes, it's over. It's insane to the 4-yard line.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh!
He puts it down! He puts it down!
They're getting a little wobbly.
The downfield shot!